Why you wouldn't survive life in ancient Greece. Surviving life in ancient Greece would be something hard, especially for us living in this new era. This is due to the presence of a difference in how they handle several issues and what is done currently. In terms of how they treated the sick, especially women, culture and beliefs, there is a big difference. How justice was served in Greece, among many other things, is the reason why a modern man wouldn't survive in ancient Greece. Join me today in this video as we discuss more on why you wouldn't survive in ancient Greece. Medicine administration in ancient Greece. Life back then seems to be easier as compared to the current world we are living in. Nowadays, we depend on science for disease diagnosis and treatment, but for the ancient Greece people, it was something different. Once a person felt unwell, he or she was asked to visit the temple. This was due to the presence of a ritual known as temple sleep. The healing of the patient depended on the priest to declare them healed or prescribe a cure to the disease. But this would happen after the patient has explained his or her dreams to the priest. After they had slept in the temple, surprisingly, there were doctors present with no recognition from people. Surgery was the last option in ancient Greece, since it was recommended on a patient with a wound. The surgeons faced the problem of insufficient iron tools responsible for performing surgery. However, this did not stop them from performing surgeries on the sick. A patient still underwent surgery, but if he or she failed to recover, the surgeons considered him dead. During these times, surgeons were not realistic with what they were doing. However, the cure was believed to result from cutting and burning. Women faced challenges during ancient Greece times, especially if they ever claimed to be unwell. They believed that the womb was not part of a woman's body, but rather something living in a woman's body. If the womb decided to change its position in the body, they referred to it as the wandering womb disease. The cure for the disease was pregnancy and the use of unpleasant smells. During these times, pregnancy was a prescription for all diseases affecting women, including fever. This is different from the current world since pregnancy is termed to be dangerous under some conditions which can lead to death. In the current world, pregnant women are treated in a special manner. In order for them to have a healthy child after birth, this brings us to the conclusion that a modern woman wouldn't survive in ancient Greece, looking at the way they were handled. Life in Sparta. Sparta was considered a strong city among the Greeks in terms of military. This came as a result of Sparta being fertile, which made the Spartans have plenty of food, which placed them in a position of focusing on other things. This included military and poetry. A time came when they wanted to turn their neighbors into slaves. They had to improve on their fighting techniques and put more effort. They even went a step ahead to train their boys on some skills as they grew up. The boys were taught to be resistant to cold and hunger, and if they happened to recognize a disability while one was an infant, they killed him. They had to walk for long distances and sleep on the ground to make them stronger. When they were being taken to war is when they had a break, but still, this was not a break since they were on a dangerous mission of conquering and achieving what they were after. The perception of cosmetics in the ancient Greece. According to ancient Greece, the reason behind the use of cosmetics was to improve their skin condition. Their cosmetics were a product of lead and mercury. However, the products were used up to the 19th century, where the damaging effects started becoming more evident, especially to women who used them more frequently. The effects included blackened skin and baldness among many others. They had a minimal approach to makeup with the reason of looking pretty without making makeup an obvious requirement. Since the men and women in ancient Greece were after improving their skin condition and complexion, they decided to wear lead face cream. But the outcome was unexpected to them as none of the two was achieved. The Rampaging Sea Pirates that you wouldn't survive. Babylonians, Egyptians, Minoans, and early Greek civilizations fell. Cities were burned and trade routes were also abandoned. This was summarized in a letter by Hammurabi saying, quote-unquote, "Behold, the enemy's ships came, my cities were burned, and they did evil things in my country." But the letter did not disclose who the enemy was. The enemies brought a big loss. They first showed up against Hittites. Unfortunately, nobody discovered who they were. After long fighting in Egypt and the Mediterranean Sea, with the big loss they brought along, the pirates are said to fall out of Egyptian history in 1178 BC. All these long things that took place seem hard for a modern man to survive in those ancient Greece. The injustice that prevailed in ancient Greece. Justice was something hard to be served to a person in ancient Greece. The whole society could punish someone out of anger. Anyone could place charges on his fellow without being bothered. A great percentage of cases revolving in court involve hatred among people in ancient Greece. Anger had a great contribution to the actions that took place during their times. For justice to be served, it greatly depended on the prosecutor. This reveals to us the whole difference in how justice is served currently as compared to the ancient times. It would be hard for a modern man who depends on courts to solve a dispute to take all this humiliation. Draco was given a chance to set rules by Athens. However, he did the unexpected by making a death punishment for all criminal offenses. His set of rules favored the rich and the landowners while it forgot to favor the less fortunate. The rules were expected to abolish the unfair means by which justice was served, but the opposite happened as the rules turned out to be harsh. Plagues that were hard to survive. A disease outbreak in China killed 10,000 people in a day. This was a big loss in terms of the lives lost. However, the disease was not disclosed up to 1959. The disease was termed a plague because of how deadly it was. Other disease outbreaks were termed plagues because they killed people horribly. This included the pneumonic plague and bubonic plague among the many diseases that were present. Inadequate food and poor neighborhoods resulted in fewer survival chances amidst of a plague. Lack of food makes one's body weak. People in ancient Greece were already weak due to food shortages. This came as a result of prolonged cold seasons and wet weather that led to shortages, making people starve as a result of poor crop growth. This made it easier for the plague to kill many. Everything that happened made it hard for the food supply to recover within a short period. Effects of drought and famine on ancient Greece. According to the people in ancient Greece, life was smooth till they were caught up with a dry season. Everything that has a positive side can't also miss a negative side. During the time when Greece was facing war, drought had also struck. Their cities were burnt and great losses were witnessed. Their sorrows did not just end here but rather continued as the drought lasted for 300 years. Things became worse from time to time. Crops were unable to withstand the harsh conditions that were present. Famine and starvation were real. It even took the lives of many. People saw they couldn't withstand the famine, which to migration to other cities for rescue. The migrations again led to a war outbreak. Since ancient Greece depended on more iron agriculture, to them it was a sad event. People lost lives slowly during the drought period and it resulted in a big loss to the Greek citizens. Life in ancient Greece had its advantages and disadvantages too. That's normality in life, always. The way they handled the sick, medicinal application, and famine are among the many reasons why you wouldn't survive in ancient Greece. When it comes to children in the current world, they are perceived as special gifts, whether they have disabilities or not. But for Greece, they killed the boys who couldn't withstand the training they had. Thanks to the new era we are in that appreciate the role of the court law and science in people's lives. Thank you for watching this video and please remember to subscribe so that you don't miss anything new.